When Manchester United delivers such an assertive and dominant performance, such as the one against Brighton over the weekend, it is sometimes easy to overlook certain individual performances. So in this video, I will show you why Benjamin Sesko and Luke Shaw were Manchester United's unsung heroes in the win over Brighton. Without further ado, let's analyze. All right, let's get started. But first, let me get something out of the way. So as most of you already know, I have already posted a tactical analysis video of our 4-2 win against Brighton, where I provide and I present the evidence to most of the things that I'm going to be covering in this video. So, visual evidence, in-game clips that have been analyzed from the game. So, of course, I'm going to leave the link in the description if you want to check out this video. But in this particular video, I want to focus more on the tactical board in order for us to better understand what Ruben Amorim did in order for him to ensure a win against a very tricky Brighton. So before we can truly appreciate what Ruben Amorim has done tactically, and we can truly appreciate the individual roles of Benjamin Sesko as well as Luke Shaw over here, we first have to understand what Brighton are all about from a tactical perspective. So Brighton are the ultimate vertical progression team. So basically what they do in the build-up is they create this box shape right here, and that was since the Derby days, really. I mean, it's not a Fabian Hurtzeler invention. But basically what they do is they have two ball-playing defenders, Van Eyck and Dunk, who are both very good on the ball, as well as Baleba and Ayari, who are very technical midfielders who come in closer and deeper. And so they create this type of rectangular shape, while the fullbacks actually push quite wide. And then their two strikers, Jorginho, Rutter, and Welbeck, they love to drop deeper, collect the ball from either the goalkeeper or the defenders, and then turn on to the opposition, and then they link up with the wingers, who don't always stay wide, but sometimes they cut inside and get involved in the build-up as well. So Ruben Amorim, of course, knew this, and obviously his tactical plan, especially when it comes to how do we press Brighton, was completely different to what we've seen him do against Brentford, against Sunderland, and against Liverpool. This was a plan specifically tailor-made for Brighton. And so basically the plan, what it was, is if Brighton really want to progress the ball through the central areas, then maybe we should force them out wide. And then when they are wide, then we can lay a trap for them. So basically what he did was instructing Šeško, Cunha, and Bemu, the three forwards, to man-mark these four players alongside Bruno, with Casemiro actually staying more in retreat. Some of you actually have sent me comments in the video that I've posted yesterday saying, well, Mr. Scarlet Report, I did notice that our midfield did not get overrun. This is actually one of the reasons why, okay? So basically by man-marking these players, the goalkeeper only has two options, okay? Either he can go wide towards a Weaver or the Kuiper over here, or he can play direct towards Rutter and Welbeck, which is exactly what Brighton want to do. So let's look at those situations individually. So the moment Brighton chooses to go wide towards the fullback, well, then you end up being in this situation because the Manchester United players adapt to that new change. With Bruno and Bemu, instead of being quite aggressive on the players that they are marking, they just shift, they slide, and they move, and they follow the direction of the ball. So effectively then Van Eyck and Dunk, because they're not really involved in the play anymore, they're not marked by the Manchester United players anymore. We don't need them. Therefore, we do have numerical superiority in these areas. The 3-4-3 formation that Ruben Amorim favors is naturally quite strong in the wings. In fact, it has like a diamond shape in the wing with the left-sided centre-back, the left-sided forward, and then the left-sided central midfielder and the left wing-back, forming a diamond, which always ensures sort of numerical superiority over the opposition. So then with Bruno and Bemu coming in more centrally, they are actually beefing up these central areas, the channels right here. And then Luke Shaw also pushing forward closer to Rutter means that Weaver really has two options. It's either he can play a risky pass towards Rutter over here, or most likely what happened actually quite often is him playing it safely and going back to Van Eyck. And then when that happens, actually, Manchester United are in quite a good position in order for them to execute their final plan and for the trap to actually clap onto the Brighton players. Because the moment Van Eyck gets the ball, what happens is this. Shaw actually marks Rutter quite aggressively. And then Sesko makes these bended runs that Mbemo also done. Like I've highlighted that in my previous video. I showed the example of Mbemo, but Sesko also has done that quite a lot. Also, there was a reason why Sesko was actually playing more on the wing, at least in the defensive phase, because I think that Sesko provides a little more athleticism than Cunha, whereas Cunha's positioning is a little bit smarter in that he can kind of like block the passing lanes and keep Baleba a little bit busier, while Sesko like really puts in a shift and provides that, you know, hard work and industry on the wings and that support for Dalot. And so basically when Van Eyck receives the ball here, Brighton are in a very tough situation because he can do two things, okay? Either he can go back towards the goalkeeper, but then Sesko is applying pressure right here, who is preventing Weaver from receiving the ball. He can just keep on sprinting towards the goalkeeper, in which case the goalkeeper will have to go long anyway. Or what we've seen happen a lot is Van Eyck just go in with that direct ball towards Rutter, but because we knew that that's what they wanted to do, and because of Sesko's and the positioning of Bruno, Mbemo and Cunha and Sesko's pressure, we are forcing that ball to be in play. Van Eyck doesn't have a lot of space, doesn't have a lot of time, therefore those balls were not of a high quality, so it was easy for Shaw to collect the ball. Why is this important? Is because 3 of our 4 goals came from this pattern of play. A lot of pressure on their back line in the build-up, and then Shaw intercepting the ball from Rutter, and then we ended up scoring. So twice it was Luke Shaw, and then the last goal, if you remember, it was Aiden Heaven who performed the Luke Shaw role. So again, this was a great tactical maneuver from Ruben Amorim, and it just shows understanding of the opposition. And if you want to get more evidence, more visual evidence of this, if you look at the average positions taken by the players from Manchester United and Brighton in this game, you kind of see this narrow formation and this narrow tendency and shape that Brighton had. You know, they might be listed in a 4-3-2-1 formation, but they effectively didn't really play with wingers because they were trying to create this verticality, whereas Manchester United was a little bit more balanced. But they were stubborn, Brighton, and they even got a little bit frustrated because Ruben Amorim did not allow them to play their game. In fact, Brighton were forced to play to Ruben Amorim's terms, and that's why we won the game. Here is another visualization that, in my opinion, is even more striking. I mean, this is the concentration of play map. So basically, it shows you where each team has played or targeted their passes, right? And as you can see here, again, the Ruben Amorim plan has worked because, as you can see here, in these wide areas, that's generally speaking where the fullbacks who push really wide and high do receive the balls from the goalkeeper or from the center backs. But as you can see here, the highest concentration of play was actually in the middle of the area. But why was Ruben Amorim successful here? Because this did not actually translate into chances in the final third. Brighton did not create many chances. I think they had like a 1.12 expected goal. So they did not really create high quality chances. And so they were quite ineffective at progressing the ball through the middle in that they would target this area right here. But then Luke Shaw, De Ligt, Yoro and Casemiro were actually quite ready for that. And they were able to intercept and win most of their duels in this area. So again, this was a beautiful tactical battle between Manchester United and Brighton. And I'm just happy that Ruben Amorim came on top. And he came on top because of this amazing plan that he has and because of the great execution of the Manchester United players. All right, so why am I making this particular video? Because when I watched the game, I already decided that besides my usual, tactical analysis videos, that I had to make a video talking about this particular concept, which is the synergy between managers and players, and then between players who are playing in different positions. Because that is a very important topic when it comes to football tactics that doesn't really get covered or doesn't get the attention that it requires. One of the things that I struggle with the most as a tactical analyst here on YouTube, whenever I make a video, is that sometimes I'll observe things, okay? So I'm quite good at that part, right? I'm quite good at synthesizing that information and presenting it to you guys. But sometimes I'm kind of conflicted because I'm always asking myself, okay, this thing that I've observed, was it planned? Or was it just a fluke? In other words, if the manager fails to do something, is it because he does not understand it? Is it because he did not notice it? Or is it because it was poorly communicated to the players? Or is it because it was communicated effectively to the players, but the players were either not good enough or they were not bothered to actually implement the plan effectively. And so it makes it really tough for me to really have a an unbiased judgment and evaluation of what is happening on the football pitch. But I think this game against Brighton was just the ultimate opportunity for me to talk about this, because first of all, from Ruben Amorim's perspective, this was absolutely spot on. This is what I want from a manager. He clearly identified what Brighton are truly about. He went to the essence of what Brighton are all about, and he has masterminded a plan that aims to counter that so that they don't play to their strengths, to force them in a weak area that plays to our strength. And that was absolutely spot on, absolutely amazing. And then, besides the players who clearly got the plaudits, the likes of Casemiro and Mbemu, Amad Diallo, De Ligt even, and Bruno as well, rightly so. They were absolutely great. But I feel that players like Shaw and Sesko were also extremely instrumental in allowing us to win this game. And again, this is, a great example of how, in order for us to start winning football games convincingly, you need a manager that comes up with viable tactical plans that are effective, and then you need players who are good enough and willing and driven and professional enough to implement those plans. Because when those two conditions happen, well, then the only result is a Manchester United team that is ready to compete for the domestic titles as well as in the Champions League, okay? So I hope that you've enjoyed this tactical analysis video, guys. I'm sorry, many of you are asking me for more content, but guys, just in case you don't know, I do have a full-time job that is not related to football. In fact, I just came back from work right now, and I do have a 5-month-old baby, so, parenting is a full-time job in and of itself. So technically, I have 2 full-time jobs, plus a hobby, which is Scarlet Report, but I'm trying my best, guys. So anytime I have time, anytime I see a window of opportunity, I try my best to bring you something of value. So your support over the years, guys, I know that some of you have been supporting me for 3 years now, so you know who you are. Thank you guys for that. And I'm doing my best here, and thank you all for your support. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it the thumbs up and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Until next time, cheers.